Welcome to another episode of Between Two Dots, brought to you by Intention Media, where we interview guests and try to discover how they are living an intentional life. On today's podcast, we are joined by Dr. Shafeena Premji. Dr. Premji is a nationally recognized family physician and menopause care leader dedicated to advancing women's health through compassionate, evidence-based care. She is the founder and medical director of three women's health-focused clinics, including the Milestone Menopause Center of Southern Alberta, founded in 2024, a visionary hub for comprehensive community-based menopause care. A certified Menopause Society practitioner since 2015 and board member of the Canadian Menopause Society since 2020, Dr. Premji also serves on the medical advisory board of the Menopause Foundation of Canada, where she drives advocacy, education, and policy to transform midlife women's health across Canada. Dr. Premji is a very accomplished and inspiring lady. I really enjoyed learning more about her story and all the things that fell into place and what she had to go to get where she is. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Premji to the podcast.
Hey, Shafeena, thank you so much for taking the call. It's been a long time coming. I was just talking to Gilbert before we started this, and I've been following you on LinkedIn for probably about a decade, right after we had met, after you did the henna at my cousin's wedding in Mexico. But it has been a pleasure to watch your journey. I'm so glad that we have to have you on, but thanks for making the time.
I appreciate you reaching out to me and appreciate you being a part of my journey. We all have our own story that we go through. So, yeah, really, really honored to be here with you today.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to diving in deeper. Like we definitely share a lot of mutual connections. Your cousins like Asif and Al used to play on my hockey team when I put that together years ago. And like I said before the call, I know your sister Farhana quite well. Shout out to her for winning a massive award not too long
Yes,
ago. So she's
yes.
killing it as well. We got to have her on as well. But you and I really don't know each other, and Gilbert as well too. So let's start at the beginning. Why don't you take us back as early as possible? Tell us about where you were born. What was life like growing up?
Okay. Oh gosh. So I'm 43. Was born in Scarborough, Ontario, Scarborough, Toronto, Ontario, 1982. I'm the first of two daughters. So my mom and dad had several years of infertility, and my mom conceived after 8 years of trying to have a baby. And then I have a younger sister who came 2.5 years after I did. My childhood was filled with great memories with my mom and dad. I remember that being in a smiley was a big part of my life. Connie was a big part of our life. I remember my mom sitting on the sofa with me. She was not working when I was a young child. Thankfully, I had her, full attention. I remember her teaching me ABCs. I remember her being at all of my school events. I remember her teaching me and taking me to ballet classes, piano classes, handbells, through school, brownies. So my parents were very, very involved in my childhood. So I had a beautiful childhood. I loved music. I was dancing, doing classical Indian dancing as a young girl. I loved being a girl. I loved wearing dresses. I loved doing henna on my hands. I liked having my hair and makeup done at the age of 6. So that's been a big part of my journey. I did not have a lot of sports in my younger age, and fitness and exercise was not a huge thing for me. The only movement I really had was ballet, and then Indian dancing. So that's a little bit about my real childhood memories.
It's
That's
awesome.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so this is all in Scarborough, Ontario. Is that correct?
Yeah, in Toronto, and then around maybe 5 or 6, we moved to Brampton. And then when I was 8 years old is when we moved to Calgary because my mom has a large family here in Calgary. And we wanted to be closer to my grandma. She was my only living grandparent at that point. So we moved here when I was 8, which was in grade 3.
Yeah, that's wild. Like that's I didn't see. I didn't even know that about you guys. I thought that you were from Calgary, so we're already learning a ton about you right now. Um, how was life like in school growing up? Like you said, you were a girly girl. You enjoyed being a girl, and that's very cool. I think that you have these fond memories of your mom being at home, able to essentially homeschool some of those things and instill some of those things, like Kane and the ABCs and very cool that you're part of, artistic expression like dance and stuff like that at such a young age. But what kind of a student were you as well too? Like you're obviously, for people that don't know, you are a physician today, right? Amongst many other things as well too that we'll get into. But what kind of student were you back then?
Always studious. I was the biggest geek all the time. I wanted to always be the teacher's pet. And when I moved to Calgary, it was November. I started school in grade three in November. So one thing I remember is so the class had already began 2 months prior to me joining the class. And I remember my teacher on the first couple of days had told me that they had a reading rainbow at the back of the room. And the reading rainbow really was broken down into sections. And every time you read a book, your Care Bear would move along the reading rainbow. So I started 2 months after everyone else in my class, and I was the first one to win. So I was a complete geek. I loved learning. I loved challenging myself. I remember spelling bees. Always wanted to win. And then in grade six, one of my teachers told me that she thought that I was gifted, and so I was challenged on a gifted education program through a school, a junior high school here in Calgary. Um, I remember going through the application process, and then on the last day of the final examination, there was some questions I had about memorizing some pictures or some letters or some numbers, and I couldn't remember a lot of the details. So I lost a couple of points on that part of the exam, and I was not accepted. That was my first kind of breaking point in life where I'm like, I failed at something. I wasn't good enough. And I remember taking it to heart. But then my grade six teacher told me that, it's not, there's more, there's other options available to you. And at that point, she encouraged me to apply for the French high school program. So I could do all of my, junior high and high school in French because she said that would be another challenge if I didn't get into this
Mm,
gifted school. So that's what I did. I did my junior high and my high school in French, and I realized at that point that, failure doesn't define you and that there's another opportunity. And I've had so many other things have happened to me in my life where failure has been a big part of where I am today. Had I not gone through so many of these rejections or failures in life, I would not be where I am. And it provides me the grounding and the resilience to keep going despite what is thrown at me. So my faith grounds me, gives me strength to keep going, and understanding that rejection or failure, which that was one big part of it at a young age, helped me to see that there is more beyond that and that I need to look at other avenues to continue to grow if some door closes.
Yeah, no, that's great insight. Especially like everything is kind of crystal clear when you look at in hindsight, right? So I guess so you took junior high and high school in French,
Mhm.
and where does your story go from there?
Um, I mean, I'm talking 1997 to 2000 was high school. And at that point, I knew I wanted to become a physician at some point because I had had some health issues when I was in grade six with a really bad skin condition. I had probably 3 or 4 months of seeing doctor after doctor after doctor without a proper diagnosis. And at this point, my skin condition had spread throughout my entire body. And I remember one evening, my mom took me to the emergency department and sat me down with an pediatric doctor and literally a dermatologic encyclopedia. There was no internet back then. Um, Looking at photographs in this book or this dermatology textbook and looking at my skin to figure out what was going on. And so the impact that that doctor had on his investment in my health and how much he cared has really shaped me to want to then pursue this idea of becoming a doctor. That was in grade six. And so, I was studious. Now I wanted to be a doctor. There was no plan B. There was always a plan A.
mm,
And I was going to do whatever I had to do to get there. Again, no matter how many times I would be rejected. Um, so I finished my high school. I applied to medical school. I got on a wait list. I finished high school, uh, started my Bachelor of Science program here in Calgary. And then after the second or third year of that program, I applied for medical school, was interviewed, and then got on a wait list. And then there was two further years where I was again reapplying and didn't even make the wait list. And at this point, I had now finished my undergrad, and I'm like, now what do I do? Again, I didn't believe that there was plan B. Plan A was always plan A. So I was looking at other options. And at this point, I had to do something. So I decided to pursue a master's degree through the University of British Columbia, a master's in health administration. And during this time, my dad had also lost his job. So, we needed some sort of income to continue the family expenses. So I pursued a executive master's program where I finished my undergrad. I started working as a treatment coordinator for a pediatric weight management clinic. And then I was also doing a master's program simultaneously at the exact same time. And this master's program was a bit unique because I was flying to Vancouver every 3 weeks, be in class Friday, Saturday, Sunday, fly back to Calgary, and then work full time. So I was juggling a full workload and then also a full school workload as well. And
Oh,
when I completed my master's degree is then again another application to medical school, and this was the fourth application. And this was in 2007, finally, at the age of 25, when I matched into medical school here in Calgary.
wow. That's a pretty intense journey there as well too, and a lot of responsibility for you to take on at such a young age. Um, I'm curious as well too, like, did they give you any feedback of why you were rejected those few times?
You know, it's difficult to say. I have to say, one of my challenges in life has always been I've always been naive, timid, quiet, shy. And perhaps when I went for the interview the first time, I didn't maybe prepare myself properly. I didn't speak properly. I may have not fit that bill.
Hmm.
The second and third time, honestly, it's really, really hard to know. I always had really, really good grades, but maybe I wasn't well-rounded enough. Maybe I was too young. I didn't have any sports background. I had a
Hmm.
lot of volunteering and leadership positions, but I hadn't really done a lot of sports. And I know specifically in Calgary, they do look for well-rounded and mature candidates. At least they did at that time, because it's a condensed 3-year program. And I wasn't really open to going to other provinces or even leaving the country at this point because I'd never really left home before. Um,
Hmm.
so I really just wanted to stay in Canada and in Calgary. I knew the quality of the education I would get here would be good. And if it meant 6 applications, I would do 6 applications. Like I just kept going.
Hmm.
Mhm. So
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah. So your plan A was really like only is that one plan. It's got to be medicine in Calgary, and that's it.
I mean, I just knew that I had a vision for my future,
Yeah.
And I understand that when you look at people's end point, you don't know the messy middle. And I've had a lot of messy middles, but the messy middles don't scare me. So every challenge is an opportunity, right? And one of my mentors who love listening to, Robin Sharma, has this acronym WTOH. What's the opportunity here? So whenever something happens that's wrong or bad or that might be disappointing to me, I always ask myself, what's the opportunity here? And, as a young girl, I was going to mosque even in the morning, so a lot of meditation. I was getting strength from that. I was reading books from Robin Sharma at this time. Um, there's another author, I can't remember his name at the moment, it's blanking me, but reading a lot of self-help books and staying motivated because I think it's easy to get stuck in the why me, what now,
Hmm.
feeling sorry for ourselves. But I've always just Paul Coelho, what's the name of his book? Um,
Oh yeah.
Paulo Coelho.
I
it's
mean, this is exactly what we're based on, like The
yeah,
Alchemist.
The Alchemist. Yeah.
Yeah.
So The Alchemist and then The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari from Robin Sharma, those are two life-changing books for me that really helped me uncover what the purpose of life was. And I was reading this at the age of 20 something, so quite young. And I got a lot of strength from it. I got a lot of strength from the stories and the path that these individuals took when they wrote their books.
Hmm.
So that was really how it all played out.
Yeah, that's super inspiring, and it harkens to the, tenacity and grit and the hard work that's required to really accomplish something that is big and audacious, right? So congratulations and good for you. So you get into med school after this would be the fourth application.
Yeah.
And I imagine like based off of what you did in between completing your undergraduate and your fourth application, that all helped just based off of your experience and, kind of making you a more rounded candidate. So how was med school? What was that like?
Med school was really hard, and I'm really happy that it took me as long as it did to get in. I can't say that I felt that med school was the highlight of my career. Um, uh, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if it's the color of my skin. I don't know if it's my appearance. I didn't get a lot of, I didn't have a lot of mentorship. There's nobody in my family who's a doctor. Um, I really didn't have anybody to look up to guide me. So a lot of errors were made in the process. I was afraid, I was scared, I didn't want to, ask for help. I felt inferior to many of my colleagues. Um, I knew I was meant to be there. I knew that deep inside, but it was not as easy for me as maybe the person sitting beside me. I found that the preceptors were not necessarily the most encouraging or empowering or inspiring or mentoring. It was a different time. There was a different vibe when it came to medical education. It was more fear-based learning, like they would, pimp you on the spot and ask you difficult questions. So I really had to learn how to be in a new environment, in a new learning environment, in a new setting that I had never been involved in. And there's no parents or friends or anybody that I had really that I could talk to say, what is medicine like? What should I be doing? So it was a lot of trial and error. And in that same time, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to specialize in. There's a lot of um, competition and trying to get into these specialties. I just really wanted to be a doctor, and I had a very different vision of how I wanted my career to look. One of the challenges I had in medicine was that I found that when you're a doctor, there's a huge dichotomy or discrepancy between the relationship of a doctor and a patient. There's like this distance that you're expected to have. Like you're very scientific, you're very medical, you just give the medical information. There's no heart. I didn't feel that there was heart or emotion or care or love in the delivery of medicine. And medical school is really about learning the medicine. It's not about the art of medicine.
Mm.
I was more focused on the delivery of the information. And so my mentors, I didn't have a mentor that I could emulate to say, this is the kind of doctor I want to be. So I struggled quite a bit. I then decided I wanted to pursue obstetrics and gynecology. I loved women's health. I've always been, that girly girl, and I wanted to be a part of women's health journeys as well through pregnancy, postpartum, labor and delivery, birth control, infertility, PCOS, and then this whole thing of menopause that we might come to next. So medical school was hard for me. I also didn't match into obstetrics and gynecology. I matched into nothing. So again, another failure, another rejection, another reason that the world was saying you're not good enough, Shafeena. You're not meant to be here. It took you 4 times to get into medical school. You're just not good. You're just not good enough. So now what do you do? How do you overcome that? Well, I had to go through a second round of applications and interviews, and I matched at Queen's in family medicine. I had 6 weeks from the time I applied and found out to the time I had to leave and move to Queen's across this country. And as I mentioned, I had never left home before. So I had 6 weeks to pick up my life and go.
Mm.
And that was very difficult as well. But I knew the end goal. The end goal was I want to be a doctor. So what does that mean? You move, you be malleable, you adapt, you face your fears, you push through, you take the challenge, you know that you're stronger than you believe that you are. You have your faith. And that's really how I got to Kingston. 6 weeks, picked up my stuff. My parents drove me across the country. I bought some furniture from IKEA. I bought a bed from Leon's, I think. They dropped me off and they left. And here I am, 2 years, 3 years at Queen's. Nobody, I don't know anybody, I don't know anything. Yeah, and I had to start residency.
Wow. Yeah. That's intense as well too. It's like you think you've made it when you get into med school, and then there's that whole other round of like now matching. I didn't even think about that. Like you think that that's it, you know?
I got in.
Um,
I got into
yeah,
med school. I'm done. No. And there's more to my story, Hafiz. It keeps going.
yeah,
There's
I know.
more.
Let's get into it. So that's wild. So like, I mean, good for you already for making it happen. You get into family medicine. You've hit your quote unquote goal, and now you're at Queens. Walk us through that. So you were out there for 2, 3 years, you said, right?
Yeah. 3 years. It ended up being 3 years.
Okay.
Basically, my 3 years, 2.5 years in Kingston, Queens, was me living in a suitcase. Because it's a small city. So when you're trying to get all of your rotations in orthopedic surgery, psychiatry, internal medicine, ICU, where else did I did? Emergency medicine. All of these rotations were in smaller towns near Kingston. So I was literally coming home Friday, Saturday, Sunday, doing my laundry, making my food, packing up my bags, and then shipping myself off to another place, living in another house provided by the university. Or I had a lovely family who I stayed with in Oshawa for several weeks, who took me in, is in a Smiley family who took me in and let me stay with them. So I had that support, and I had my also my aunt and uncle in Toronto if I had to go there. But primarily, it was living out of a suitcase. Um, I had better preceptors and mentors at Queens. The community and the vibe of Kingston is so beautiful. There's a certain type of individual that chooses to live in a place like Kingston. So I think the vibe is different than living in an urban center and learning from that environment. When I finished my 2 years, I decided to pursue a fellowship program in women's health. So I knew I was going to come back to Calgary. I actually already had lined up a job doing obstetrics with a call group here in Calgary. They wanted me to start July 1, 2012. Um, but I wanted to pursue more and I asked them for an extra year before I came back. So this was the one time where I applied for something and I actually got it. And that was a women's health fellowship for a year, which was really custom to what I wanted to do. I could pursue any part of women's health. But the catch is that I finished my 2 years. I had to write my family medicine exams. It's called SUS and SAMPS. I passed the SUS, I failed the SAMPS. So again, finished my family medicine residency program, about to start this new fellowship program, and I actually couldn't even pass my exams for family medicine. So another failure again. So clearly at this point, I'm like, maybe I really am not good for family. Maybe I'm not good enough to be a doctor. And there's just this idea that I've had since I was a little girl, but the world is telling me there's some sign that I'm just not meant to be here. But guess what? I paid the $2,000. I wrote the exam during my third year fellowship and I passed it. And so now I knew, okay, now I've got this degree, I have a job, life is opening up for me. I had just met my husband at this point. We were not married at this point. We had just met, but he's from the UK. He's not a smiley. He's a different, he's Hindu. I'm a smiley. However, how are our parents going to perceive this? And I had gone through previous relationships that were difficult. So do I want to entertain a relationship at this point? So there's all these things going on. You're getting older, people are getting married. What are you supposed to do? All I wanted to do was be a doctor. That's all I cared about. So the fellowship program was incredible, and I ended up in Ottawa for 1 or 2 months, and I met the best mentor doctor I could ask for. She was um, a gynecologist who was focused on women's health and specifically menopause care. And this was one area of women's health. I mean, you probably don't know anything or maybe very little about menopause. You know that a woman's periods probably stop at some point, and then beyond that, like that's it, right? Nobody knows. None of society knows about what menopause is. Even I didn't know as a doctor who loves women's health. And so this love for this untouched territory of women's health really was something that came to light for me, and that Dr. Elaine Jolly, who was my preceptor, you know, showed me the way. It was like she was brought into my life for a reason. It was like a silver lining in all of this. It was that blessing that I just never expected, because when so many doors close, but something opens that's even bigger and better for you that you would have never imagined. Um, so I finished my residency, moved back to Calgary, started practicing low-risk obstetrics, started working at a medical clinic, started doing family practice, and then this menopause thing started brewing in the background with her mentorship. Um, and that's now 2013. So I've fast forwarded you now to 2013.
Yeah. What a journey. I mean, there's like that thread that keeps coming back. There's that, you know, North Star that you have as it relates to the direction that you want to head and becoming a doctor and then women's health and, you know, the fellowship and then uh, getting in touch with this mentor. So it's like it's cool to kind of piece together the pieces in retrospect, but it was a windy road to get there, right?
Very, very windy.
No, it's I have this not a meme, but that cartoon in my mind. Every time I'm hearing you speak, it's kind of like that person digging for the diamond, and they're so close and they turn back, and the one like
Hmm.
just keeps on going, kind of hits it, right? Like
Mm.
you had all these obstacles, and you had like Gil said, that North Star, that strong why, that experience that you had as a child by with the Emerge doctor, and then your love of women's health and kind of being in there. How is that so strong to keep you going?
Um, I believe I was put on here for a reason. I believe that we all have a purpose. And sometimes that purpose is more obvious to individuals earlier in life, and sometimes it happens later, and sometimes people are still trying to find their purpose during life. And I remember when I was very young, this is before I knew, my grandfather, so my mom's father was a very religious man. And when I was born, obviously at that time, my mom didn't know it was a girl until I was born. And she told me that my grandfather, who was very religious and very in touch with his faith and his religion, held me in his arms and said, even though you've given birth to a daughter, she's a strong, powerful soul, and she will fulfill the role of both a daughter and a son for you. She told me this. This is my mom. I've never heard him say that. Obviously, he passed away when I was two,
Hmm.
2.5, and so I don't have any recollection of this. But when she told me that, I mean, it's not that that's defined me, but it almost feels like I was brought here for a reason, and he knew that before I even knew that. He knew that just by holding me. So I truly believe that our time on this earth is very limited. 80 years, 90 years is a very short period of time. And I truly believe that I have whatever little time I have. We all don't know what our expiry date is, but I believe that I'm here to make a difference and to help people. Like it sounds kind of
Hmm.
ridiculous, but there's this thing specifically about women that really draws me in, and that's because women are always meant to feel inadequate. They're meant to feel like they need to sacrifice. They never make themselves a priority. They're very vulnerable. They go through a lot of difficult times through pregnancy, childbirth. Um, they're carrying the responsibilities of a family, even as a mother or a grandmother. We go through hormonal changes. And as a woman myself, having experienced a lot of this, I want to be that person that can help another woman be her friend, be her ally, and be with her. And I feel like that's what my purpose on earth is to make a difference in the lives of women in any shape or form that is. And so, you ask about that relationship with that doctor and then, where I am right now. I could see that his heart was in my care that night. He wasn't just another patient that he had to see in the emergency department. It wasn't just another dollar sign or another bill that he could do. Like he actually cared enough to invest his time to find this textbook and help me. Like you could tell there was true care and compassion there.
Hmm.
And that's the kind of person I want to be for every individual that walks into my office. I want to give her more than she even expected she was going to get from me. And I want her to know that I get her, I validate her, I understand her, I support her, I empower her, I want to be there for her versus just another patient coming in my office. So the thing for women is that there's a lot of times where they're going through a lot of vulnerable and scary times, and I've been through that myself. So what can I do to make it easier for her? What can I do to support her? And that's really where the drive for everything that I do really comes from. And knowing that this is part of my purpose being here on Earth.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah, congrats. No, knowing what you know now, is there a piece of advice that you would have given your younger self?
Oh, that's a good one. Um, I think it's an advice that I would give to myself and also to other women who may look to me for inspiration. And I think that we, as an a human entity, we, the sky is the limit, and we have the ability. We're all born with a soul. We're all born with a purpose. We're all born with a talent. And we're all born with something special about us. There's a spark in each one of us. And I think that the world sometimes makes it difficult for us to see what that is or to believe that we're capable because there's so much jealousy and competition and adversity in the world that it makes it really hard to see beyond that. And so, my younger self, I would tell, would be, don't worry, don't be afraid. I think I would tell myself it's okay to be different, celebrate your differences, because I think as young girls, we want to conform to what's cool, what's right, what everyone else is doing. And I think if we look internally and find who we are deep down inside, and that we celebrate our individuality and we celebrate our differences, that's how we are going to not be afraid of what everyone else is doing and pursue what feels right to us to the depths of our soul.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great answer. And like I think you're totally right about that as well too. Like everyone is born with a soul and a purpose, and society will just put expectations and different experiences and cover that. And as you get older, you kind of realize that you can either numb it and just kind of go with whatever life gives you, or you can fight and keep digging and kind of as all the crap piles on you, find your way back to that to uncover that. And yeah, I really feel like you're doing that as well too. And I think what you're doing for women is pretty incredible. My wife is a midwife right now,
Oh,
so yeah, I got to connect you to. She's done her master's in counseling to work with pre and postnatal as well, and there's a lot of cool synergy. So she's taught me a lot, and I've learned a lot just even being in her presence and what she talks about with clients. So I think it is pretty amazing what you're doing.
This episode is brought to you by Bloom Benefits Group. Bloom Benefits is disrupting employee benefits by rethinking the status quo. They provide exceptional customer service while saving you money. Bloom offers group benefits and retirement products, health and wellness accounts, executive benefits, life insurance, and disability and critical illness. Available to companies across Canada, Bloom helps clients save money without interrupting current plans. Check them out at bluebenefits.ca.
Young professionals, families, and entrepreneurs. What makes Zelos Investment Counsel different? Our independence, client focus, and access. Zelos Investment Counsel is independent from banks and brokerages, which ensures clients' best interests are served without corporate conflicts. We are fiduciary portfolio managers with a duty to clients that doesn't exist in the brokerage model. At Zelos Investment Counsel, we exist to care for our clients, and every day we strive to help our clients reach their goals. We provide our clients with access to institutional investment managers and sector specialists through our proprietary investment structure. For more information, book your no obligation meeting today at zelosglobal.com. That's www.zelosglobal.com.
Attention all car owners. Is the winter weather turning your beloved ride into a rusty relic? Fear not, because we've got the solution you've been dreaming of: Crown Rust Protection. Picture this: your car defying the elements, standing strong against rust like a knight in shining armor. Crown Rust Protection is not just a shield, it's an investment in the longevity and resale value of your vehicle. Don't let rust take the wheel. Book your Crown Rust Protection treatment today and let your car embrace its inner superhero. Call now at 403-291-1951 or book your appointment at www.krown.com. Our skilled technicians are ready to give your car the VIP treatment it deserves. Crown Rust Protection, because your car deserves to age like fine wine, not rusty vinegar.
Today's episode is brought to you by Motive, a leading venture builder with over a decade of experience helping corporates and startups build, launch, and scale successful business ventures. Whether you're looking to innovate your business model, develop a game-changing product, or craft a winning go-to-market strategy, Motive is with you every step of the way. Their proven venture building process and technologies help reduce risks and accelerate time to market. Innovation is everywhere. Let's harness it together. Visit motive.digital to learn more. That's Motive spelled M-O-T-I-V.
I am very curious though too about like how you balance everything out. Like obviously you are a high functioning person. You get things done. You don't let adversity hold you back. But I've seen your work as like a henna artist, example, right? And you're not just a regular henna artist. Like you were a kick-ass, like one of the best henna artists as well too. Have you always just been like where do you get your competitive spirit? But also, how did that kind of like come into your life?
Honestly, Hafiz, I would have to say I just love beautiful things. I love art. I love beautiful things. I love being around, like art around me, whether that's design, whether that's photography, whether that's clothing, whether that's henna, whether that's like, I just love to be around things that are beautiful. And as a woman, when you have an art that emphasizes beauty, the smell of it, the meaning behind henna. It just, I don't know, it feeds my soul. It's the left side of my brain, I guess, if you want to call it. So that was really something that I've learned and taught myself until I did a course in 2012. But the love of henna had been since I was a very young girl. As I mentioned, I used to dance. I used to wear makeup at a young age, so I just really like to be I love beautiful things. And so that was one way that I could express beauty through that form of art. That again was a gift to me. And that gift that was given to me, my God, I want to help share that gift with other women and share that gift in the beauty of people's weddings. And so, if you think about it, I've been and experienced the most important parts of people's lives. Number one, birth through labor and delivery. Number two, weddings. Like that's is a very big milestone in any individual's life. And third, death. And I didn't talk about this, but I used to be on a committee for our community, our Smiley community, where when somebody dies, we would go to their home and provide all of the bereavement counseling. And then we were also involved in the funeral ceremony, cleaning the body, washing the body, preparing the body for the funeral, and then also being at the funeral ceremony. So I feel like I'm always with individuals during very special, important, vulnerable, sad, milestones in their life. And that brings me joy when I'm able to serve and be with people during these moments in life.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so cool.
I remember hearing a quote uh, during a podcast or interview where they said that you will not be able you're not able to have a dream or a vision for your life that you don't have the potential to achieve. So
Yeah.
it's if you're able to dream it, then there's something in there. There's a path. There's a way that you can achieve it in your life, and you certainly are an example of that.
Yeah, I've heard that quote and I appreciate that. I really, really appreciate it. And I think you're absolutely right. We just have to believe in the inevitable for ourselves, right? No one's going to do that for us. And the most important relationship that we have in this world is a relationship that we have with ourselves, because we're the only ones who are with ourselves 24 hours a day. And if people could see the beauty of what they are and have that love and that comfort of being in their own space, there's so much that we can uncover about ourselves. And then knowing that we could do anything that we want.
Hmm. I think I recall that quote. Is it R. Kelly? I believe I can fly.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Hmm.
Um,
Hey,
Space Jam, throwback, but good message. Um, Shafeena, like how do you keep it all together right now? Like you're like you said, like you're doing amazing things for the community. You have a family now of your own. Um, what's your wellness regimen look like to make sure that you bring your best self every day?
Well, if you're following my social media account on top of my LinkedIn, you may have seen that in the last 2 years, I've pursued a new area of interest, and that area has been with strength training. As a 40-plus-year-old woman who sees women 40 plus every day of my life and in my job and in the patients that I see through the perimenopause and menopause, it's a very, very difficult time for women because they have significant physical symptoms and also emotional symptoms, cognitive symptoms, mental health changes, body changes. And if I'm going to be that person that they're coming to provide that guidance, I need to be acting the part. I can't tell a woman to do something if I'm not doing that myself. And so, as you know, I like challenge. I like to do things that are hard, and that I may not have figured out, and I'm not even sure how it's going to happen, but I'm going to throw myself in the deep end and see what comes of it. So, after I had my second child, I had just finished breastfeeding. It had been about a year. And I contacted a trainer that I had found through a mutual friend on Instagram. His name is Vishal as well. My husband's name is Vishal. And I basically had a 2 hour conversation with him and told him that I know nothing about the gym, but I wanted to learn more. And he was completely non-judgmental and was able to introduced me to this new space, and that's become a big part of who I am and what I do, and regularly and consistently each week.
Amazing. Good for you. Like what a journey. And here you are now, as you mentioned in the beginning, 43 years old, just top of your game, crushing it. What's next for you in this journey? Like obviously you want to relish where you are, and you've done so many things, and you've just kind of broken through all these different barriers to be where you are right now. But where do you see yourself going from here?
You know, opportunities will come up, and I don't even know what those opportunities will be. All I know is that I'm somebody that always likes challenge and I like to grow. And so the path that will be determined for me will be the path where I see gaps in care for women or gaps in a delivery for women. And currently, I'm in the process of building my third clinic, which is going to be a menopause clinic, and that's going to be opening in early 2026. And I'm also thinking and working on potentially publishing a book. So
Wow.
that's where I'm at now. God knows how that's going to go. Things will get rejected or not work out, but I'm just going to keep going and see where that takes me.
Yeah, and we didn't even talk about your business. So like everyone here who's listening right now thinks that you are this person that only works with women, potentially at a hospital or whatever. I know you have to leave pretty soon, but can you quickly tell us about your business and how people can get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, Dr. Shafeena Premji, or I have three medical clinics, Mahogany Medical Clinic, which is a family practice, the Village Medical, which is another family practice a couple of minutes away. And then my third clinic is Milestone Menopause Center of Southern Alberta, milestonemenopauseCenter.ca. And I'd love to come back to talk to you about business and entrepreneurship as a female, a South Asian woman, and what that has been and what that journey has looked like for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I mean, it's so inspiring to hear your story, and there's so much more, but I know our time is limited, so we might have to have you back. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate you inviting me and actually walking me down my own memory lane. Sometimes you forget your story, you forget your journey. So I really appreciate you sharing this hour with me and giving me the opportunity to share my story with your listeners today.
Yeah, thank you. The pleasure is ours. Yeah, and definitely we will have you back on because that is a
Um,
whole other chapter in which I believe has a ton of twists and turns and a lot of learnings as well too. So best of luck with
Thank
everything.
you. Thank you.
We'll definitely see you around and we'll have you on again. But thanks again for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Care.
Okay, take care. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you again for joining us for another episode of Between Two Dots by Intention Media. This podcast is co-hosted by myself, Gilbert Bong, and Hafiz Mita. If you enjoyed this podcast, please rate and review wherever you listen.